Star Wars fans, and I've made it back. It's very, very late at night or early in the morning. Not sure which one it is, but I'm now in processing phase post Last Jedi at the cinema. So I've just made it back, and wow, just completely wow. There's so much to take in from that movie. So originally I was thinking of not doing a spoiler review, but I don't intend to give away spoilers, but there are definitely going to be spoilers here, because you can't not mention the things that happen in this movie and the things that turn up, and to me they're important to talk about. So you've been warned. If you haven't seen it already, then from this point onwards there is going to be spoilers. So just so you've been warned, we're going to be talking about them. And if you don't want to ruin it for yourself, then you shouldn't go on any further. So you've been warned. Now I'm just going to go through randomly the scenes which I loved and stood out for me, which I just really want to talk about. To begin with, where they're escaping the Resistance base and then the First Order right on the hills. I love that they opened up with that sort of battle shot, and then Poe Dameron by himself, the lone fighter, just knocking out all the cannons and everything. You get a real understanding of the grand scope and the intensity of the First Order at this point. I love the beginning title where it said the First Order now reigns, and that was so true. And then when the First Order show up out of hyperspace to finish off the Resistance base with their massive Supremacy starship with the cannon on it, and it just shows how mighty they are at this point and what a force they are to be reckoned with. And I really love that kind of that sort of feeling that they're on the Resistance's throat. So it kind of puts you on your edge, on your seats at that point. So that was really enjoyable. I really love that scene with Poe Dameron. He's doing all these tricks and wiping out all these cannons, and that bit with BB-8 as well, whilst everyone is able to knock off into hyperspace and escape. That was really good. But then you get to see straight away Poe Dameron taking it a bit too far, and they go into that side of his character, and it's developed to him to being this overconfident ace pilot, which is reflected with Admiral Holdo later on, where she is made out to be kind of like a bad person in the Resistance, and she turned out to be a hero. And then there's a scene in there where she basically sacrifices herself. She stays on board the ship that's escaping from the First Order. They're not able to catch up with that ship, but the Resistance ship is running out of fuel, so eventually the First Order will be able to fire upon their last ship, and that would be the end of Resistance. She commands this ship, everyone's able to escape, including Leia. She turns it around, and then she jumps into hyperspace directly into this ship, and this one just like dwarfs every single one. But it's Snoke's ship, and it's absolutely massive, and then there's just like dead silence, and this rebel ship sacrifices herself and on the ship and just wipes out the First Order. And I just love that, and it comes at a pivotal moment where Finn is facing Phasma, and they finally get their duel. That was very satisfying to watch, and see Phasma actually duel like in melee combat, and then Finn to take her on. And I love the line shared between them both, saying her last words to him was "You're scum," and Finn was standing there, "Rebel scum." And I just love that so much. And then you get to see a little bit of Phasma and Ari, so you know it's Gwendolyn Christie in there. So that was really good. And then she obviously falls to her death, but this time there's no escape, because she just falls into a complete ball of fire. So that was satisfying to see an end to that little story arc that was going on there between Finn and Phasma. The stakes were up, everything was just happening where she was just about to execute Finn and Rose, and that was quite intense. But because Admiral Holdo hyperspaced her ship into the First Order ship, then it destroyed that, and it saved Finn and Rose, and had like a butterfly effect, and Resistance were able to land on Crait and get to the Rebel base. So that was all great. All the sort of battle sequences were very satisfying, very well filmed as well. I really loved seeing all those, and it kept me on my feet. I felt tense, I felt involved, and that's exactly what I wanted. It felt different as well from the original types of battles we've had. Everything which happened in there is something which hasn't happened in a battle in the prequels or sequels. When the Resistance are escaping, and then Kylo Ren comes in out of hyperspace with his TIE fighters, and then he has that point where you see in the trailer, is he going to target the Leia on the bridge and then destroy her, or is he not? And I guess that he wouldn't, and he didn't in the end. The two TIE fighter pilots either side, they launched their torpedoes straight at the bridge and then destroyed it, took out Admiral Akbar and Leia as well. And this was quite early on in the film. I thought, well, obviously, you know, it's her last film. I thought, this can't be like the way she's going to go just like so early on. And I thought, well, how can you survive in space? Like, that is it. But the problem is, there was no like slow motion moment immediately after, so I thought something must be happening here. Is Kylo Ren gonna like save her somehow? I'm not sure, but Kylo Ren didn't pull the trigger on that, which was very cool to see, because that relates to him and Rey later on in the film. But that moment, which I just love so much, is when she's floating in space, you think she's dying, you think this is the moment that she's going to go, and then the Force theme kicks in, and Leia's theme, I think it was Leia's theme actually, which just made it even more magical, and she just Force pulls herself back to safety, back to the ship, through the bridge, and she's saved. I just thought that's just a brilliant way to showcase Leia's Force abilities and connection with the Force, and that she is using the Force as well. I just love that so much. That gave me shivers down my spine, and it was kind of different and new to see, but at the same time it just made you feel incredibly satisfied, or it did me anyway, and it kind of gave me the feels, the chills, whatever you'd call it. It hit me in the spot. What I loved was this connection between Rey and Kylo Ren, and them being able to connect with each other throughout the middle section of the film, and there was a lot of uncertainty there. Like, Rey was kind of coming off as a little bit dark and getting more angry, and Kylo Ren was starting to doubt himself, and even Snoke said it, and it was a really nice moment seeing that they were able to talk to each other. But they even played off as a joke as well, when later on they talked again, like she's on Ahch-To, he's on the Supremacy or Snoke ship, and they're able to commune with each other. And at one point Kylo Ren hasn't got his shirt on, and Rey's like, don't you think you should put something on to cover yourself up? And the whole audience laughed. And yeah, moments like that, they just inserted humor in the appropriate places, and it's like humor that you would be thinking, and they were just brave. They just went with it, and they made those jokes, and I think it really paid off, because a lot of the time the audience throughout the movie were laughing along with the characters. So that's what I really liked with this, that connection they had, and Rey's point of view and Kylo Ren's point of view, especially in terms of what happened to the Jedi Temple that Luke set up, and he was training younger people, and they had the flashbacks with Ben and Luke as well, and getting to see Luke with his green lightsaber. Those are really cool scenes which I loved, and seeing each one's perspective until we finally got Luke's perspective as well. But just before that, there was a melee combat thing with Rey and Luke as well, and I just loved that relationship and chemistry there on Ahch-To. I thought that was really well filmed, and Luke's reluctancy throughout and not being sure to train Rey, you could really connect with Luke, and I just loved it. Every single moment with Luke I thought was just awesome. I think he just completely nailed, Mark Hamill completely nailed Luke in this, and just brought something new to the character, but at the same time just encompassed what Luke would probably be thinking and doing at the same time. And it was really intense and emotional, and he had the humor. And that moment I loved so much is when he just went aboard the Millennium Falcon and he saw R2, and then he said to R2, I'm not coming back, R2. And then he says, nothing you will say will change my mind. And then R2 plays that hologram from A New Hope where Princess Leia's talking, and that's the first time Luke sees Leia, and that was just perfect. It was so perfect seeing that in there, and I didn't want something to be completely like nostalgia thrown down your throat the whole time, because I wanted it to be its own film. But at the same time, just moments like that were used sparingly, but when it was used, it was perfect, and it really was just so appropriate and just awesome to see. And then Luke was like, oh, that's a cheap shot. And that was really good, like humor added in a serious thing like that as well. And that gave me chills and feels again. It's something which I just did not see it happening whatsoever. And I was just sitting there, just pretty much with my mouth open the whole time, just like, was when we got to see full-on Snoke talking, Snoke's force powers, how powerful Snoke was, what Snoke was doing to Kylo Ren, manipulating him from when he was younger as well, and how Snoke was bringing together a connection between Rey and Kylo Ren, and he's just laughing the whole time at what he's doing, and he doesn't see Kylo Ren as a threat, and he's really manipulating him. He was basically just throwing Rey around the room and just teasing with them because he was just so powerful. And then there was a moment where Rey just goes for him, and then they get caught up with that sort of force like block thing that's going on, and then Kylo Ren is like just about to redeem himself in the eyes of Snoke and just about to kill Rey. And at this point you think, well, Kylo Ren seems like he's turning, like what's happening? Snoke has already belittled him so much that he's just doesn't know what to do right now. Rey has basically held out her hand to offer her help to him and bring him back to the light side. And then you see Rey's lightsaber turn around on the chair towards Snoke, which Kylo Ren's controlling, and while Snoke is toying with Rey, Kylo Ren ignites his lightsaber and then it goes straight through Snoke, and that's the end of Snoke. And I was thinking, well, Snoke's gonna come back, like he's gonna put himself together again, do a Darth Maul, and then we're gonna see how indestructible and powerful Snoke is. And even then I just thought, well, you know, he can't be dead, but he was. That was it. That was the end of Snoke. And just think of all these theories and everything about who Snoke is, and Snoke this and Snoke that, and how much thought has been put into Snoke, and then just like that, Snoke is gone. And I just thought, wow, like it was completely unexpected, but at the same time, it was just perfect because it created this unity between Rey and Kylo Ren, and then they fought the Praetorian Guards, and that was awesome, seeing them join together, and the fight scenes there were epic. The only thing which could have slightly just enhanced that scene for me is just adding a completely sort of new epic theme in there. I thought that gave way for a really cool sort of Duel of the Fates nod-off thing where they join together, and then it's just them just finishing off the Praetorian Guards, which are obviously dead loyal to Snoke. That would have been awesome. And then they converge together, and then Rey's trying to bring Kylo Ren back to light, and then vice versa. Kylo Ren realizes he's killed Snoke, like he could be in control of all this now. He should be in control of all this, so he's trying to pull Rey. So basically, Kylo Ren becomes the protagonist, and I love that because it gets rid of Snoke, and it just gives Kylo Ren more of a personality in terms of the dark side and makes him his own entity. Like he is the ultimate leader of the First Order now. He is the evil guy with all this power. That's what I love so much with that scene and getting rid of Snoke. It diminishes Snoke's authority and then just gives it straight to Kylo Ren. And there was like a power struggle with Hux and Kylo Ren. I just thought Hux in this film was really likable, brilliant, and just perfectly written in this. There was a sense of humor in there, and it just could not help but like Hux in this. And that moment where he walks in and sees Snoke cut in half, he looks down, Kylo Ren is on the floor, Rey is obviously gone, and then he looks at Kylo Ren and he pulls out his gun, and then just as soon as he pulls out his gun, Kylo Ren sort of comes to again and he puts it back in all of a sudden. It was just moments like that I just thought were brilliant, and it was just full of moments like that throughout the whole film, and I just loved seeing that. So that was really cool. But then obviously there was a power struggle. Like Kylo Ren obviously wants to take over, and Hux is dead loyal to Supreme Leader Snoke, and obviously believes that the First Order is his army and he is in control. And what's Kylo Ren doing, thinking he's got authority? Of course, Kylo Ren pulls off the classic Sith thing, and that's force choke him into submission. And that was really good as well. And then you see them together on Kylo Ren's shuttle on the Battle Crait, and they're commanding, he's shouting everything that Kylo Ren's saying. So, you know, Hux is really loyal to Kylo Ren now. That was really good. And the moment where, of course, where Luke turns up, just that epic thing where it ignites, you see him fight with a blue lightsaber, And then Kylo Ren orders all the walkers on Crait to shoot on Luke, where he just walks out from the base with all these flames behind him. Looks so epic. And then just Kylo Ren screaming, saying, "Fire more, fire more." And then it just gives opportunity for even Hux to say, "Well, I think you've got him by now." And it's just another one-liner by Hux, and I love that. And then Luke survives, and there's a showdown with Kylo Ren at the end. But then the ultimate thing at the end is that Luke can't get stabbed, he can't get killed with Kylo Ren's lightsaber, and it's just always something new. And then it turns out that Luke was using the Force for Mark II to have this sort of image of Luke on the Crait Rebel base. So they have a moment and have an opportunity for Luke and Leia to say hello and have a moment with Han, and he took something off the Falcon to give to Leia. And I just loved just all those nods to Han and seeing Luke and Chewie together. But that was something completely new, seeing Luke doing a Force ability like that. I'm not sure what that's called. Force completely trick someone, I'm not sure. But it was still epic and looked completely epic. And then at the end, which was really sad, Luke does a Ben Kenobi and he becomes one with the Force, I assume. And then you see his cape float off on the island on Arc 2. So I assume that Luke will ultimately become the teacher for Rey in episode 9. I'm speculating for episode 9 already, along with Yoda. And that was just such a magical moment with Yoda and Luke on Arc 2 and Yoda being witty. And I love that they went with puppet Yoda as well. And it was kind of a shock at first, because I just had it in my head that he was going to be CGI, but why would he be CGI? And it just worked so well. And Luke wanting to burn the tree with the sacred books in them of the Jedi, and then he goes up with a torch and he looks back, he's like, "I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna end it all, Yoda." And Yoda just stand there looking, and then Luke just hesitates, and then Yoda just summons like this thunder from the sky, and then he just strikes straight down the tree, burns it all. And then Luke's looking and shocked, and Yoda's like, "Jedi books, read them, have you?" And he comes up with that one-liner, and he just has this moment where he's like in Empire Strikes Back, and he's teaching Luke, and he's poking him, and sort of just saying wise Yoda things, like the Yoda we loved from the sequels. And that was really special. And the imagery ending off that scene with Yoda and his silhouette and Luke there with the burning tree in the background, and Yoda's giving his divine wisdom to Luke, and you hear Yoda's theme. That was just beautiful and magically filmed for me. I love that scene so much. That was very special. I loved places on Arc 2 as well, with the dark cave, and when Rey goes in there, that was really good. But at the same time, I was expecting it to be like the cave on Dagobah, where Darth Vader steps in. I just thought, well, maybe there's going to be like a Darth Vader-y thing here, where they sort of teased that Rey's parents were coming up the other side of this glass Rey was facing, and then it was just turned out to be Rey. But I was expecting it to be, I don't know why, just something Darth Vader-y, Darth Sidious, I don't know, some connection there. And I felt like they didn't mention it in this film, both of them, but at the same time I feel like, oh, and they played a moment with, I heard Darth Sidious's theme in there as well, in Snoke's chambers, and that just sounded so awesome. It was like just such a nod to the dark side, and Sidious when he mentioned him. And I think that was the point when he was holding up Rey and he was like, "Tell me where Luke is." And then you heard Sidious's theme in there, and it was just so nice to hear that again. One thing I would like to see more in here was perhaps more C-3PO, but not in the way that you already see him in this film. I want him to be with the lead characters. And I was watching Empire Strikes Back the other day, and I was been doing a Star Wars movie marathon to build it up a little bit, and C-3PO is absolutely hilarious in Empire Strikes Back. He's witty, he's self-centered, and he's very opinionated, and he just has something about him in that film which is just incredibly likable. And I wanted to see that him with the main characters, like have this more of a bond with the main characters, for opportunity to have more of these sarcastic C-3PO moments. And you did get a couple of them in this film, but I feel like C-3PO could have been used more for that. And I think that's just a personal thing for me because I love C-3PO. Same with R2-D2. I just want to see maybe R2 like in the back of a ship and just being with the hero and doing what R2 does. He's always with the hero. He's always integral to something. And it's great that we've got BB-8 and Poe Dameron together, and BB-8 was doing an awful lot with Rose and Finn, and they were so awesome in this as well. And Finn was so likable and funny. I really took to Rose in this as well. She was funny. They had great chemistry there. Also wanted to see R2 just do something important, have more importance in Star Wars movies. Like, the torch is being passed down to BB-8, but I love R2-D2 and C-3PO. Like, maybe put them together, put them with Rey, Finn, just like have C-3PO be sarcastic about stuff and R2-D2 be the hero of everything, and then BB-8 could do his thing with Poe Dameron. I think I'm just so nostalgic for C-3PO and R2-D2, but that's just something for me. If there's one thing which I would really love to have more, I loved hearing all the themes: Kylo Ren's theme, Rey's theme, Luke and Leia, Leia's theme, Darth Sidious, reference to Darth Vader in there, March of Resistance, Rose's theme, and Finn. That was really nice as well. But I don't know why, there was nothing that got stuck in my head. Usually, like when I watch a Star Wars film, I just go straight back and think I need to get that theme. But there was nothing like really new in this, and I just love John Williams' music so much. It was just simply the way the story is created, and also it's a bit different now. I think instead of John Williams composing to a movie that he's already watched first draft of, this time around it's done in the opposite way. So he gets the script and he composes music for the script, so it's a little bit different. So those are all the scenes which really stood out for me, which I love seeing. I mean, there were so many more things which were going on. I missed probably loads. I have to see this film within the next few days again, just to let it all sink in, because it's one of those films where you watch it all, it's so much being put in your face, and then it needs to digest, and you need to watch it again, and probably a couple more times, well, for me anyway, for it to fully digest. But it was great fun. I think I was the only one dressed up in the cinema. The Force Awakens, there was quite a lot of people. I think I saw 2 people wearing like gimp suits, but they had a stormtrooper helmet on, so that was a little bit different. But the cinema, I was just like, shame on those Star Wars fans, like no one dressed up. But I was very happy in my Jedi costume. People were coming up to me and saying, yeah, it was very cool and stuff. So I'm glad I did it, and of course I love dressing up. It's like a bit of Jedi cosplay and everything, so that was great fun. The atmosphere was really good, but in my cinema at midnight, you don't want to like watch all those adverts, and they played an awful lot, half an hour's worth before the showing, so the fans were kind of like just starting to take the mick out of all the adverts and everything that were going on. And then when the main crew came up, or Lucasfilm, and then there was like everyone went silent all of a sudden, and then you just wait for the first person to cheer or make some sort of noise. So someone did a really big chewy noise, and then it got all the cinema like in a good mood, all the audience, and then I shouted a little bit, and then everyone started shouting, and there was a great like spirit in the audience, and that's what I loved. And that's why I hopefully captured a little bit of that atmosphere at the start of the video as well. I absolutely love this film so much, and I'm sure you're going to love it as well. But I think I've covered more or less everything on there, and I had a really great time at the cinema. I really like where this bridging episode headed, and the story arcs in there, the new characters and everything that happened, and the humor. It was dark, but it was great, and I just really loved it and can't wait to see it again. So those are my thoughts about everything so far. I would love to hear what your favourite bit is if you've seen it already, and welcome to all my new subscribers. You know who you are and where you've come from as well. So I hope you enjoyed going through this together, and also if you remember, what was your funniest joke in there as well? I mean, like I said, there were so many things, but I did really love that Hux bit when he pulls out his gun and then Kylo Ren wakes up and he pops it back in again. It was just subtle things like that. I just love seeing that sort of sense of humor in Star Wars, but I would love to hear what you thought was funny there as well. And also don't forget to click that notification bell up there just so you can know when a new video is coming out from this channel. I hope you enjoyed this, my fellow Jedi Knights, and remember, the Force will be with you. Always.